Why does Las Vegas now feel empty? That's a million-dollar question, but the answer is pretty simple. The perks that made Las Vegas the entertainment capital of the world in the 80s and 90s are fast disappearing. From dining fees that have become insanely expensive to parking lots that are arguably the costliest in the US, many tourists are now avoiding Sin City. Visitors arrive with excitement and leave with frustration. Today, we're counting down the 7 most outrageous fees that are driving visitors away from Las Vegas. Make sure to watch to the end, because number 1 will certainly make you miss the golden age of Las Vegas. And if you love videos that cover America's most iconic cities, tap the subscribe button. 7. Hidden resort fees have exploded. Back in the 80s and 90s, if you booked a hotel room, the price was simple. You saw a price, you paid that price. Easy. No surprises. But today, it's a whole different story. The resort fees alone can sometimes be more expensive than the room itself. For example, you can find a hotel room online listed for $79 a night, which sounds like a steal. However, when you get to Vegas and check in, you get hit with a resort fee of around $40 to $55 every night, and this is charged on top of the room price. So suddenly, that $79 room could cost you $120 or more per night. That's more than 50% more than you planned. If you booked a 3-night stay, you might end up paying an extra $150 to $165 just for resort fees. These fees are not just a little extra, they can double the price you were expecting to pay. This kind of hidden pricing catches tons of visitors totally off guard, which is a big reason why many feel disappointed before their vacation even really starts. In fact, in the first half of 2025, Las Vegas saw a 7.3% drop in visitor numbers compared to 2024, which is a huge decline for such a popular tourist city. Experts link part of this fall directly to the frustration caused by resort fees and rising prices across the board. Hotel resort fees cover stuff like free Wi-Fi, gym access, pool towels, and local phone calls. But think about it. Most people have their own smartphone data plans today, right? So who really uses those hotel Wi-Fi connections anymore? And how many people actually care to hit the gym or call the front desk from their hotel room phone? Not many, honestly. So it feels a bit like paying for extras you don't want or need. Here's the crazy part. Some of these resort fees are officially taxed at over 13%, which means you're paying tax on top of a fee that already bumps your total bill way up. All this adds up to make Las Vegas one of the most expensive destinations in the US when it comes to hotel costs. However, the resort fee is just a tip of the iceberg. Just wait until you hear the next fee. 6. Parking fees. This is one of those charges that really hits you the moment you arrive in Las Vegas in 2025. Parking used to be a luxury freebie and a warm welcome to visitors, but now it feels like a sneaky toll gate draining your wallet before your fun even begins. It now costs anywhere from $18 to $25 per day at major resorts such as Aria and Bellagio just for self-parking. And if you want the convenience of valet parking, get ready to spend around $40 or more, sometimes even higher during busy weekends or special events, making it one of the highest parking rates in entertainment destinations worldwide. For comparison, if you were visiting Las Vegas in the 80s or 90s, parking was one of the easiest and nicest perks. You could find huge parking garages everywhere, and no one asked you for a single dime. You could drive from hotel to hotel exploring the Strip, hopping from casino to casino with zero worries about parking costs. It was like Vegas was rolling out the red carpet just for you. But now you have to set aside over $50 just to park a car for 3 nights at many big resorts. That would make parking itself one of the costliest parts of your entire trip. This shift didn't happen overnight. Since 2016, major resort operators like MGM Resorts and Caesars Entertainment quietly introduced parking fees on the Strip. Today, only a handful of hotels like Circus Circus, Sahara, Treasure Island, and a few others still offer free parking. But even some of those have started charging for premium spots or valet services. The message is clear. Parking is no longer free, but free parking is not the only perk that Vegas has removed for its visitors. 5. Disappearing free drinks and comps. Imagine you're stepping into a Las Vegas casino, expecting that classic, exciting vibe. The the one where they hand you a free cocktail just for playing a few rounds of slots or poker. If you were around Las Vegas in the 80s or 90s, you'd know exactly what this feels like. Back then, free drinks and comps were the heart and soul of the whole casino experience. But what if I told you that this huge part of the Vegas magic is disappearing fast, and it's making the whole gambling experience a lot less exciting? Free drinks used to flow so freely in casinos that a lot of people would play longer, have more fun, and just generally feel valued. It was like a special thank you. But today, that feeling is fading. In fact, casinos have started monitoring how much you bet before they even consider giving you a free drink. If you don't play enough, your green light won't turn on, which means no free drinks for you. Studies show that this change started around the late 2000s and 10s, as casinos began using technology to track how much money you've put into the machines before rewarding you. This might sound smart from a business point of view, but it's less fun for the visitors. Many tourists say the lack of free drinks makes them feel less welcome. 4. Early check-in and late checkout fees. Most hotels in Vegas have a standard check-in time in the afternoon, usually around 3 p.m., and checkout is mid-morning at about 11 a.m. But if you want to check in earlier, say around 11 a.m., or stay late, you might have to pay an extra $40, $50, or even higher just for those few extra hours. For some of the bigger resorts like Vdara, Treasure Island, or South Point, early check-in fees start at around $25 and can go up to $60 or more for late checkout. Now imagine if you're flying in early after a long trip, tired and ready to crash. You'd want to get into your room as soon as possible, right? But guess what? The hotel wants you to pay a big extra fee just to relax or freshen up before the official check-in time. Or maybe you're catching a late flight and want to stay in your room a bit longer without rushing to pack and leave at 11 a.m. Another hefty fee for you. That could easily add up to $80 or more just for those few hours of comfort. This wasn't always the case. If you were around in the 80s or 90s, hotels generally offered more flexible check-in and check-out times as part of your stay, with little to no extra charges for those small conveniences. Back then, the city was more about making you feel welcome and cared for, not squeezing every last cent out of your visit. What if I told you these early check-in and late checkout fees are now among the highest in the country? Combine that with resort fees averaging $40 to $55 per night, parking fees of $18 to $25 a day, and other hidden charges, and suddenly a trip that seemed affordable is costing way more than you expected. Hotels claim these fees help cover the cost of cleaning, staff, and room preparation. But most tourists feel it's just another way for Las Vegas to squeeze more money from them after they've already spent a ton. In fact, some guests choose other cities with friendlier policies for a better value vacation. For the city famous for its sparkle and bright lights, this slow but steady addition of sneaky fees is dimming the excitement and turning away the very people who once made Las Vegas the top destination for entertainment and adventure. And with more tourists saying no to these fees, the city is starting to feel the pinch, with fewer visitors. 3. Dining out on the Strip has become seriously, insanely, and shockingly expensive. Eating out on the Las Vegas Strip has become one of the priciest experiences you can have, and it's leaving a lot of tourists feeling frustrated and disappointed. To put this into perspective, if you decide to order a casual item like a small cheese pizza on the Strip, you might pay around $16 to $27 depending on the place and size. And that's just for the pizza, without drinks, sides, or tip. Want a simple salad? Expect to pay around $14 to $22. Even a cup of coffee or a soft drink can be notably more expensive compared to other cities. If you think about grabbing a quick snack, like tacos or chicken tenders, it can easily hit the $18 to $24 range per person. So if you're traveling with friends or family, your dining bill quickly adds up even for basic meals. But it's not just the everyday meals that are costly. Las Vegas is famous for its fancy restaurants run by celebrity chefs, where a single dish can cost hundreds of dollars, making Las Vegas one of the most expensive dining destinations in the world. What if I told you that this high dining cost doesn't even guarantee the best dining experience? Many travelers say that while prices are shooting up, The quality and service sometimes don't match the steep bills. That means you might pay $50 or more per person for a dinner that feels rushed or less enjoyable compared to the value. In simple terms, eating out on the Strip has gone from fun splurge to budget breaker for many visitors. And that's a big reason why some tourists are reconsidering their trips or heading to other cities with better dining deals and fewer surprise bills. When the cost of food feels like it could swallow your whole vacation budget, it's hard to enjoy the bigger experience. 2. Mandatory gratuities and service charges. Now, if you live in any other city, or if you even travel a bit, you know tipping is usually your choice. You leave a tip if the service was good, right? Well, Vegas is changing the game in 2025. At lots of restaurants, poolside bars, and even room service, they're adding mandatory gratuities or handcrafted service charges of around 18% to 22%. And here's the worst part. Sometimes those charges are added before you even see your bill. And it's not just clubs or restaurants. Some resort spas, hair salons, and even concierge services sneak in an automatic 20% service charge too, on top of already sky-high prices. Now, the idea behind these fees wasn't evil. It was actually meant to guarantee fair pay for the servers and bartenders in busy venues. But the reality is, when a $14 beer suddenly costs you $17 because of these added fees, it starts to feel less like a thank you and more like getting robbed. Do you know what happens next? Guests feel like walking ATMs, not valued customers. Online travel forums are buzzing with angry travelers, warning each other to check bills carefully before tipping in Vegas. This backlash is real and growing. More people are avoiding pricey Strip restaurants and instead seeking out smaller, off-Strip eateries where tipping is actually optional. At its worst, these forced tips don't reward service. They kill the vibe entirely. Instead of leaving with a smile and a full wallet, guests leave feeling hustled. And you know what happens then? They tell everyone who cares to listen not to fall for the same tricks. But as bad as that sounds, it pales in comparison to our number one factor. 1. Energy surcharge or carbon fee. Picture this. You're at a world-famous Las Vegas hotel, probably dazzled by neon signs glowing 24/7, surrounded by giant air-conditioned casinos and watching water fountains dancing in the middle of the desert. It sounds magical until it's time to pay. There's a new fee you'll see in your bill called the energy surcharge or carbon fee. What's worse? It's typically between $4 and $8 per night. That doesn't sound like much at first, but hang on. If you stay 5 nights, you're suddenly slapped with $30 or more, and that's on top of all those other pesky charges, like the resort fee, parking fee, and all the other fees we've been uncovering. To put this into perspective, if you book the same number of nights at a hotel in other cities, you likely wouldn't face a carbon fee. In fact, these extra costs make Las Vegas hotels some of the highest priced when it comes to hidden fees. If you were around in the 80s or 90s, hotel bills seemed straightforward compared to now. Back then, you paid for the room, and that was pretty much it. Now, with these sneaky energy and carbon surcharges, often disguised as green initiatives or rising utility costs, it feels less about saving the planet and more about padding the hotel's bottom line. And the worst part is that this charge usually only shows up after you've already committed to your stay, right at checkout. So there's zero way to avoid it without risking a messy argument at the front desk. Who wants to refuse to pay a fee that claims to help the environment? The guilt factor is real, but once people start realizing that their money isn't going towards actual green projects, the backlash is fierce. Travel forums are flooded with warnings from angry tourists, advising future visitors to watch out for these hidden eco-fees. Some repeat visitors are even switching their loyalty to smaller independent hotels or places off the Strip, anywhere that skips these surprise charges. For years, Las Vegas promised that what happens here stays here. But now it seems more like what happens here stays on your credit card bill. For those who remember the days when Las Vegas was fairer and easy, these changes symbolize the loss of the classic Las Vegas spirit, where every corner once felt like an open invitation to enjoy everything without surprise fees clouding the excitement. If Sin City wants to bring the magic back and fill those casinos with happy travelers, it needs to stop nickel and diming the very people who keep its lights on. So tell me, what's the fee that drives you absolutely crazy the most? And hey, if you want more brutally honest truths about America's most iconic cities, hit that subscribe button now. Because trust me, we're just getting started revealing what these tourist traps don't want you to know.